eliminate.
Hello, CQ calling, CQ, the old friends net. This is N4LQ, November 4, Lima, Quebec. The name is Steve, QTH is Shelby, North Carolina. The old friends net is an AM amplitude modulation only net. We meet here every Sunday at 4 p.m., every Tuesday at 9 a.m., and every Thursday at 9 a.m. on 3715 kilocycles. And we also have a net on 160 at 8 p.m. using AM also. AM net is conducted in the round table fashion, and we take a list of folks that have checked in, we put them in order, sort it all out, and we tell you that order. If you would please write down the check-ins, and that'll help you keep track of who's who and where you're at. And also keep some notes on the side on a scrap piece of paper, and that way you can remember what to comment on. So we try to keep the transmissions down below about 2 minutes, and that way everybody will have 2 or 3 chances to make a nice transmission during the net, which usually lasts an hour or a little longer. So call N4LQ now if you'd like to check in.
Good afternoon, Steve, WA4LLR.
K4GDN.
KG4IUT.
K4QE. WB4NKL.
W4KR.
K1VVC.
WSKU.
Who was it right before K1VVC? It was a double.
W4KR.
Yep, and he was right after you, Stan. I heard a 1. Is there a 1? I guess I imagined. Okay, got Mirror, F2U, who's next?
That was a double.
WN4 PFI.
November 4 Alpha Kilo N4 AK.
N4 IQ.
Oh, I see it. W4M easy.
K4 VWD.
KJ4YEV.
Well, we got 15 so far. I just know I missed somebody. Here's what I have got. N4LQ at the top, and then WA4LLR, K4GDN, KG4IUQ, Mark, K4QE, Tony, WB4NKL, Cliff, W4KR, Stan, and K1VVC, John, and I think somebody was in between there, but I just didn't get the call. WF2U, Mir, WN4PFI, Doak, N4AK, Glenn, N4IYQ, Chuck, excuse me, W4MEC, K4VWD, and KJ4YEV, Al. Any further check-ins? Call now.
KZ 4 Bravo, Kilo Zulu 4 Bravo.
There's the missing call. KZ4B. Got you, John. Anybody else?
W1NZR was in there too.
That's the one then. W1NZR. I'm going to put you, I think you were in there between W4KR and K1VVC, Brown. So you copy me okay?
Yes, I hear you just fine, Steve. It's a little noisy otherwise, but I'm copying you well. Thank you.
All right. All right. Anybody else want to check in?
Could you repeat the order?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to do that. All right. Here's the order again. N4LQ, LLR, GDN, IUQ, QE, NKL, KR, and this is where W1NZR Brown goes. K1VVC, F2U, PFI, AK, IYQ, MEC, VWD, YEV, and KZ4B. One more time, if there's anybody else, call now. Well, that's a good crowd. Okay, let's see what we can do here on the first round. If you would, give your name and QTH and what you're running. This is Steve, N4LQ, running the AF-67, driving the AL-82, about 300 watts, and the antenna is a horizontal loop. So go ahead, Dave, WA4LLR, N4LQ.
N4LQ and the old friends, WA4LLR. Well, good afternoon to everybody. Name's Dave. I'm in Burnsville, North Carolina, in the eastern part of Yancey County, and running the ART-13, receiving on the HQ-180, and feeding a horizontal dipole at about 50 feet. We're having a heat wave. It's up to 36 degrees after 5 degrees this morning. So it sure seems good to see some sunshine out there, and finally the temperature's above freezing. So I'm rejoicing this afternoon. So let's see. I hope that I am being heard on Myrtle Beach. I wouldn't swear to it, but we'll see. George, here it comes. K4GDN, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR and the group's K4GDN. For some reason my receiver's not muting, but anyway, I kill a B+. I'm copying everybody fairly well here in Myrtle Beach. I guess the temperature is in the lower 40s, about what it is here in the shack. It was in the low 20s this morning. Sun is out and it's clear, and it looks like we're going to be chilly for a little while. I'm running the B&W 5100B this afternoon, receiving on a black HRO. It's a 5A1, early post-warm, and the antenna is a in-fed half-wave. So with that, let's see, I'll turn it on to, it goes to Mark, KG4IUQ, K4GDN.
Thank you very much, George. This is KG4IUQ, Mark in Shelby. I'm using a Harvey Wells Bandmaster Senior, and it is being used with a multi-Elmac PMR8 receiver. I'm powering the Bandmaster with the APS-50 power supply of Harvey Wells, and I'm using a 80-meter dipole up about 20 feet. I'm going to turn it over now to K4QE. This is K4IU.
Okay, I think it's my turn. I can't quite hear that I can't quite hear Mark very well. This is Tony, K4QE, and sunny and cold here. It's 41 degrees. It was 16 last night. Supposed to go down to about the same tonight. And I'm running the ICOM 7851 into a Mercury Lux Linear, running almost legal limit AM into an 80-meter inverted V. So that's the story here. Not much else going on. W4 JPL John was going to join us, but his wife said, hey, I want to go out to dinner, so that's where they went. So we will not hear John this afternoon, but he sends his regards. So off to you, Cliff, WB4NKL from K4QE.
K4QE is WB4NKL. Name is Cliff, located in Limestone, Tennessee. Running a DX100B into a 160 meter dipole fed with a AT4K tuner and a Collins 75S3B receiver. I don't think Dave, you're ahead of us. It never did get above freezing here at my location. I think I've seen 31 for a while, and it looks like it's already started the other direction. Good crowd here, so I won't hold it. Send it on around. Go ahead, Stan. W4KRs, WB4NKL.
Okay, Cliff. WB4NKL and the group W4KR. Well, Cliff, glad to hear you. Glad to hear you on here this afternoon. Temperature here outside of Walhalla is 39 degrees. Was about 13 about 5 o'clock this morning. And it's sunny but still cold. And I think this is going to be about the warm for the day. Transmitter this afternoon is a Viking Johnson Valiant, running about 125 watts, and the receiver is a 75A4, and antenna's a dipole 100 feet up. With that, on she goes to Brown. I don't believe we've chatted before, Brown, but good to meet you. W4NZR and the old friends group, W4KR Walhalla.
W4NZR, it's your turn. Go ahead, Brown.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I wasn't copying W4KR very well. And this is W1NZR, Brown in, well, the address is Battleboro, but I really live in Red Oak over here in the northeast, near Rocky Mount. And copying you well, Steve. And Tony, good afternoon to you. You're just booming in over here. Doing a great job. I'm running a T368 into an open wire fed dipole, but I'm using a separate receive antenna, and I think that's part of my problem. Fairly noisy here today, listening on an R390A. In case anyone goes to QRZ and sees that I'm still listed as living in Rhode Island and having a general, I'm very pleased to say that yesterday, after 50 years, 50 years as a general, I finally went and got my extra class. So I'm actually here quite legally, believe it or not. Anyway, thanks for letting me in. I thought we might hear from Brian, KN4R. He is down in the tropics in Curacao, but he does have remote capability, albeit only about 25 or 30 watts, I forget what, but I think he might try to check in here. Anyway, John, it's over to you, and I hope you're copying K1VVC and the old friends net from W1NZR. Go ahead.
Yeah, very good, Brown. W1NZR, K1VVC. Good to hear, Brown. Not too strong here, but coming through okay enough to understand. And I did send an email message out to the group earlier today, mentioning that I was up in Laurinburg, North Carolina, which is about an hour and a half east of Charlotte, picking up some radio equipment. And this was from a silent key estate. And they have a huge amount of aluminum antennas, HF, VHF, UHF, some of them assembled, some of them disassembled. I think one of them is one of those gigantic Mosley, I think it's called a B or a P57 something, multi-band antenna. And most of it will be for free or for very nominal sum. So if anybody's looking for any antennas and willing to make the trek out that way, it's there. I can, supply you with the contact information. With that, over to my friend Mia, WF2U, K1VVC.
Your K1VVC and the net, this is WF2U. Thank you, John. North stations are pretty strong here. Again, on this setup, I don't have an S meter. It's just dB over 0. The noise level is about 10 dB, and I'll just say that Steve is about 40 dB over the noise level. George about 6 dB over noise level. Everybody from here, except Brown, is about between 20 to 30 dB over the noise level. Brown, I could only copy about 30% of your transmission. You're sitting in and out of the noise. This afternoon I'm running the GRC-19 setup, the Collins T195 transmitter, and the R392 receiver. And looks like one of the finals is weak, because I'm getting a little bit over half the normal output, and I already tuned this up. All the drivers and everything are okay. I'm putting out about 60 watts carrier, and it's plate modulated, running it from 24 volt. Actually 28 volt supply, and with that it goes to Doak, WN4 PFI. This is WF2U.
WF2U, this WN4 PFI. Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon to everyone that's copying me. I'm only copying about half of the group. And I would suppose that those that I'm not copying are probably not copying me either. 32 degrees here in Sutchins, 6 degrees this morning. Yesterday was 3 degrees. Wind chill was minus 12 here in Sutchins, Georgia. I'm running DX60 into a Warrior amplifier and receiving on Drake 2A. and the antenna's a flat top dipole at 40 feet. So I think the next one on there is Glenn, N4AK, WN4PFI.
Okay, Dope. WN4PFI and such is November 4 Alpha Kilo, and your DX16 Warrior combination is pinning my S-meter. So, handle here is Glenn, Golf Lima Echo November, November. We're located in Sunset, South Carolina, not too far from Pickens, north of Pickens, South Carolina. For the newer people checking in, the temperature at sunset is currently 40 degrees, a lower this morning of 14. The rig here this afternoon is a Johnson 500 running about 350 plus watts to a Cobra antenna, D104 microphone, receiving on NC183 Delta and an R390A, just switching back and forth. Congratulations, Mark, on the Harvey, probably the most unusual rig on the air this afternoon. So, Chuck, to you in Telford, Tennessee, and for IYQ, November 4 Alpha Kilo.
November 4 Alpha Kilo from N4IYQ. Well, good afternoon, Glenn, and all the old friends. Certainly good to hear everyone. We're about like Cliff. We've not gotten out of the freeze mode yet. It was about 3 degrees about 3:30 this morning when I rolled over and looked. But the sun has been out today, and I think we're calling for some more moderate temperatures as the week goes on. We're running the multi-Elmac AF-68A, putting out about 210 watts carrier, receiving on the PMR-8 on a double bazooka up at about probably 22 feet, towers nested down into the bottom section where we had some winds a couple of weeks ago. Was quite heavy. And Telford, Tennessee is not too far from Johnson City, and Cliff, WV4NKL, is in Limestone. He's about 4 air miles from me. And so there you go. I want to make this my one and only one to get in and say good afternoon to everyone. Hope everybody's fared the weather okay. It's not been too much of an inconvenience, but got plans to get out the door here shortly. So I'll say everybody stay safe, stay healthy, be blessed, and 73 till next go-around. W4MEC, Charlie, to pick it up and take it, N4IYQ. Good day.
Okay, take N4IYQ and the group W4MEC. Real good. I hit my switch over here one more time. Click. Okay, there we go. And this is Charlie in Henderson County, North Carolina, running a Heathkit Apache and Mohawk combination to a Heathkit tuner, ladder line to a dipole, about 55 feet up. Not a real good copy on George this afternoon or W1NZR, so making the trip here. Yes, conditions are a little iffy. Everybody else seems to be pretty good. We got 36 degrees. We finally got above freezing here. Beautiful blue sky out there, and was out there. Got a picture of my frozen pond, and I was going to get a picture of me standing in the middle of it, but I started to walk out there. I heard a big crack, so I kind of backpedaled a little bit. Usually what happens is it freezes over really well, but and then it doesn't leak. Just the water, the ground absorbs some of the water, and therefore I have this ice sheet that's suspended above the water, not floating, but I think that's the situation it is right now. It's been, when my kids were younger, they used to go out there and they played bicycle hockey on that pond, and they'd ride around on their bicycles and used to stick to bat a ball around there, and quite the entertaining scenario there, especially when they went sliding across the ice there on their bicycle, but they were having fun. No broken bones or anything, but kind of a weird thing to do on the ice there. Anyway, that's the story on frozen ponds. Let me send it down to Lee, K4VWD in the group W4MEC.
Thank you, Charlie. W4MEC, K4VWD. Well, it's 38 degrees and the sun's shining here, but we got some high light clouds today, too. I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, running about 200 watts, maybe a little less, using the AF-68 to a bandit amplifier through a tuner to a horizontal dipole up about 50, 60 feet. Let's see, y'all talking about temperatures. I was listening to the local weather station at the airport here at GSP, and it was on this date in 1985, it was -4, which is pretty cool for Greenville, and I don't remember it. One other thing, they talk about rain starting Tuesday sometime and lasting through Saturday. So we got a rainy period coming, and I guess Dave is going to speak to us about the geomagnetic storm headed our way. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Al, KJ4YEV. This is K4VWD.
K4VWD in the group. This is KJ4YEV. The name is Al. I'm in Gastonia, about 20 miles west of Charlotte. Talking on a DX60 with no amplifier, just running it barefoot. And then it's nice and chilly here. It's gotten up to 38 degrees today. Got really cold last night. But it's a pretty day here, so I'm not complaining. I won't keep it. I'm going to pass it on to John, KZ4B, to take it. This is KJ4YEV.
Okay, KJ4YEV. This is Kilo Zulu 4 Bravo. And on Lake Norman, on the Mooresville side, about 2 miles from exit 33 of I-77 North. And the rig here is a Knight T150A, got 26146 screen grid modulated, driving a Ameritron AL-1500, which in turn is feeding an ATK5K Powstar antenna tuner, which in turn is feeding ladder line to a double extended ZEP. And so that's the setup here, and it's cold. But the sun is out, which means that my next door neighbor's solar array is tearing up my Powstar receiver, my PR30, and it's a good S9 plus noise level, but most guys are coming through. I couldn't hear Brown W1NZR at all, and I was also having trouble with let's see, one other, and I'm not sure who that was, but anywho, that's the setup here, and I'll pass it on back to Steve, N4LQ in the group, KZ4B, over.
Okay, thank you very much, John. KZ4B in the group, N4LQ and the old friends net. Now standing by for a minute just to see if anybody else would like to check in. Call now.
K3OS.
All right, got K3OS. Gary, anybody else? Guess not. So let's go ahead and get you real quick there, Gary. K3OS, go ahead. Tell us what you're running and welcome to the net. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. K3OS up in Gary, up in Hickory. And I'm on the Gonset Twins today, just running barefoot. Let's see, what does the watt meter say that I'm actually running here? That's always fun. So look at that. Actually, it says 50 watts. 2 watt meters are reading 50 watts. You can't believe it, but that's what it says. Anyway, those of you guys, I came in on the tail end. I was at a community band rehearsal this afternoon, which I participated in down in Newton. I was just a little late getting back, and I've heard most of the program. Those of you guys who are coming in really strong and are probably receiving these ones are really great, and the other ones are okay, and I'm copying most everybody here surprisingly well for today. So let me turn it back to Steve, and he can get it going on the second round. N4LQ K3OS.
All right, Gary, K3OS, thank you very much. Anybody else want to check in? Nothing heard. Okay, very good. Well, we got almost 100% vintage rigs out there today, and they all sound really good, and especially congratulations to Mark, KG4IUQ, on getting the Harvey Wells. I believe it's a TBS 50, Bandmaster TBS 50. And those are really cool looking transmitters, and you tell us how you got the modulation working. It's narrow, but I just wondered if it's the carbon mic or you've come up with some other solution. But it's working, and that's great. And all the other good stuff. Mir on his GRC 19. Let's see, John on his T150, and that Gonset, Gary, sounding good. And congratulations to Brown W1NZR, who explained that on QTH his address is showing Rhode Island. I looked it up, and but he's in Battleboro, North Carolina, which is way out there, about 250 miles from me. And for you guys that are out in western North Carolina, South Carolina, out in there, you're closer to like over 300 miles away from him, so that's a pretty good haul. But don't worry, it'll get better as the evening goes on. And glad you got your extra class. I just always assumed with a call sign like W1NZR and such an expert on boat anchors that you were already an extra. But anyway, there's several guys out there like that. And tell us how you study for that, because there's some others out there thinking about taking the test also that are probably listening but can't check in. And where did you take the test? And also, Brown is running a T368, big, heavy boat anchor for sure. Let's see, it's warmed up here. It's 36 degrees. It was down to 12 in Shelby last night. Nothing froze up, and got up this morning and kind of late. I just didn't want to crawl out of bed. So let's go for another round here. WA4LLR to take it. N4LQ.
N4LQ and the group WA4LLR will find business. 100% copy on everybody. Brown is light on me, and George is not rock crushing, but still 100% copy all the way around. And Mark, way to go on the Harvey Wells. I am tickled to get to hear that. Good signal. The audio is good. Sounds like it could use a little bit more audio to me, but it still sounds good, so congratulations. Tony, the outcome sounds great. And Cliff, the audio of that DX100B is really good. Everybody is doing a great job up this way today. Glenn, I knew you were on the 500 when you flipped the switch. It's got a great signal. And Charlie, bicycle ice hockey. My goodness, what next? John, the T150 sounds good. I like that audio as well, and Gary the Gonza Twin sounds great also. All righty. Anyway, Lee mentioned the CME. Yeah, we had, I think it was yesterday, magnetic filament erupted on the sun and produced a CME. They're predicting it to hit. Now, this is their prediction. They're saying tomorrow at 1800 UTC. Now that's a pretty precise prediction. It'll be interesting to see. And they're saying it could be a G1 or G2 class storm. So it'll be interesting to see if they're better with space weather than the folks are with terrestrial weather. Anyway, the other space weather information, sunspot count's 144. The solar flux index is 157. And the K at the last report was 0.67. So pretty stable conditions at the moment. A few items from this day in history. On this day in 1976, the Concorde made its first commercial flight. On this day in 1940, Jack Nicklaus was born. Anybody that follows golf certainly knows who that is. On this day in 1997, Newt Gingrich became the first Speaker of the House to be given a formal reprimand for ethics violations. On this day in 1924, Vladimir Lenin died. And let's see, on this day in 1793, Louis XVI, last Bourbon king of France, was executed by guillotine during the French Revolution. And on this day in 1506, Swiss guards first arrived at the Vatican to be watchmen for the Pope. So those are a few facts from this day in history. George, here it comes, if you can hear me, brother. K4GDN, WA4LLR.
Okay, WA4LLR and the group's K4GDN, and I'm hearing you fine. Excuse me. Everybody seems to be doing pretty good here today. I'm going to have to make this my 73 round, but I do want to throw out something. I'm looking at putting together, or finishing putting together my Drake 4B station. I've got the twins, but I really would like to get one of the linears, the L4B, and if possible, the MN 2000 matchbox that goes with it. I want to get a vintage sideband rig done. I had thought about doing it with Collins, and I thought about doing it with Heath, but I'm going to stick with the Drake because they have the added benefit of doing AM. So anybody out there have any of that equipment, I'd sure be interested, and I will probably be selling the Collins 30L1 that I have, and it's got 4 brand new 811s in it. I've got both the civilian and the military manuals and the Samsonite carrying case if anybody's interested. And I've also got a really nice SB100 that's got the SB101 CW filter added to it, since I'm not going to put together the Heath station. Anyway, I'm going to say 73 and God bless. Appreciate you calling the net today, Steve. You got a big crowd. Everybody's coming in here to Myrtle Beach pretty well. So with that, I'll pass it on to Mark. KG4IUQ in a group, K4GDN.
Thank you very much, George. This is KG4IUQ. Steve, you were asking for me to tell how I got more modulation here. Well, in this situation, I think it was the grid current. I noticed that with a crystal, grid current would be considerably higher than with my homebrew VFO. So I experimented with an amplifier that would increase the voltage. Also using a voltage impedance transformer along with it. We got the voltage up more to be over 20 volts. That seems to help it a lot, and I know that I don't have a very normal mic wiring situation here because I had to kind of do something to get the mic to even work a couple weeks ago, and I know that I had to put a 56 ohm resistor in the wiring between the mic ground shield and the microphone. And that's not normal, but it's the only way I could get it to work. It was something not working right between that mic tip connector being grounded and then the relay that keeps transmitting. It just wouldn't work when I would put modulation or talking into the microphone. It would somehow change the resistance and it wouldn't work anymore, so I just figured some way to get it to keep going. And anyway, it's good that it's working. Glad to hear that it's working. Dave, you say I need more audio, and I believe so. I mean, I was able to get it up pretty good, but I have to really put some sound into it to where it gets to where it looks like it's got that, it's really getting up there where it's supposed to be. When I'm really yelling into it, it's doing its best, I believe. Anyway, I'm going to turn it over now to K4QE. This is KG4IUQ.
Okay, very good. This is K4QE, and hearing everybody just fine here, and mostly everybody. There's a couple that are a little on the weak side, but I can pretty much copy everyone. Audio reports are great all around, but I want to call out one special one, John KZ4B with the screen modulated pair of 6146s. Man, does that sound nice. I got the rig open here to 10 kilohertz wide, and your audio just sounds fabulous. Head and shoulders above everyone else. So you're doing a great job. Just wanted to call that out. But other than that, everyone is sounding really good, and I don't want anybody to take it a disparaging comment. That's not what I meant. You all sound good, but John just sounds exceptional. Anyway. I think this is going to be my 73 round, so I want to say good evening to everyone. The wife's getting ready to serve our supper here, so we're going to slip one out of here and wish everyone a great week, and stay warm out there. And over to you, Cliff, WB4NKL. This is K4QE.
K4QE, it's WB4NKL. Okay, Tony, 73s, have a good meal. And I'm going to make this my last one, too. I'm out in the cold shack today. I've got it up to about 52 degrees, but can't stand it too long. Congratulations, Brown, on getting the extra class. They gave the test here in Greenville, Tennessee, Saturday. And my cousin, KB4 PSI, Tommy, some of you have talked to him on 3885. He passed his extra, so maybe we can get him tuned up down here to check into the net. Mark, the Harvey Wells sounds good. You can tell it's got the carbon mic, but you know, that's what makes it a boat anchor. It sounds different from the other rigs. I've got a TBS 50D that I need to. I don't have the power supply, but I've got a universal supply that I use on other rigs that I'll power up with it and get it on the air. But it takes the dynamic or the crystal mic. It's got the speech amp in it, so have to fire it up and see what it sounds like. I'll say 73s. Thanks for calling it, Steve. I might try to venture out here on 160 tonight if it don't get too cold. So Send it on around. Go ahead, Stan. W4KR, WB4NKL.
Okay, Cliff. Thank you. WB4NKL, W4KR. Well, I wasn't able to copy Brown at all. Not even hearing his carrier. So Steve, if he doesn't come back, I'll turn it to him. But if he doesn't come back, why jump in there and pass it? Let's see. Copied pretty much everybody else. I got about 50% of George. The slow QSB up and down, and got like I say, a little bit more than half of George. Anyway, that's really about it this morning. This afternoon, it's be glad when it gets warmed up. We need 50 and 60 degree weather here again. This, I guess, I'm getting too old for this kind of teen temperatures. W1NZR. I'll be signing with this one, guys. Take care. We'll see you during the week. W1NZR and the old friends group. This is W4KR.
All right, Stan. Very, very good. Well, I copied you quite well that time. Conditions are changing here, and I hope my signal's coming up. Very interesting propagation. I know when I run the MILRAD net on 3885 at OJAR 30, I'm nearly perfectly positioned in the center part of the eastern seaboard to run the net. And this time of day, things are really changing. So George and Mark came up quite a bit during that last time. Tony, you were still way up there. And Cliff, you came in much better. And Cliff, thanks for the congrats. And I'm fairly certain that I know I'm going, and I'm pretty sure I've got Brian KN4 on board to come down to Orlando. So we'll be seeing you there. And Steve, yeah, thank you. Well, I literally did get my general 50 years ago, and shortly thereafter, I got my radio telegraph, and I was a commercial merchant marine operator for a number of years. So I already had the 20 words per minute, and there really wasn't much of an excuse other than laziness for not moving through advanced and extra. And it was inertia and laziness. But I figured after 50 years, it was time to do it. And actually, I owe quite a bit to Brian, because he turned me on to hamstudy.org. And they have all the test questions and a very good format for running through them and testing yourself. And so I knew I was ready for it, and the only BEC exam I could find this past weekend was in Thomasville, not too far from Greensboro. So it's almost a 2-hour ride from here, but I knew I was ready, and so I did it. And yeah, I'm very glad I did, and very happy to, one, be in North Carolina, and two, be amongst this illustrious group. So thanks for letting me in. It's most enjoyable. Okay, I'll be standing by if there's another round. Otherwise, Steve, thank you very, very much for running the net. And Dave, AF-13 is sounding wonderful. Very nice to hear that machine. I have a couple of them here. I'll fire them up at some time. And one of the things I really enjoy with the Old Friends Net is your compilations of historic events. And it was very nice to know that Lenin dropped dead on this day in 1924. There's an individual that has not contributed to the well-being of the planet. But anyway, that's another discussion. Okay, with that, John, over to you. K1VVC and the Old Friends Net from W1NZR.
Great copy, Brown. W1NZR, K1VVC. Coming through really very well. And nice to hear you on today. And the first time around, while I was talking about all the antenna stuff available, I forgot to mention that I'm running my Johnson Viking 500 and receiving on a national HRO 60. And a couple of items that I'm going to be having for sale pretty soon. Thought I'd mention that about an Ameritron AL-1200. I think that's what Steve calls Big Al. Extremely nice condition with the Peter Dow transformer and the IMAC tube. And also if anybody's into 6 meters, a King conversion 6-meter amplifier, which is an SB220 converted to 6 meters only by this King Conversions, and it's very nice looking. So anybody's interested, call me. Other than that, I'm going to send it over to Mia, who's also coming through real well today. As a matter of fact, all the stations are good. And Mark, your station sounds nice. Did a good job with that. WF2U K1 BBC.
Yankee.
BBC and the net. This is WF2U. Yeah, great copy on everybody, really. And Brown, you came up considerably. 100% copy with a pretty good signal strength, whatever my R392 indicates. George was coming in pretty nicely. I think the conditions are improving. And let's see. Yeah, I don't want to hold it any too long because there is a lot of people, but waiting here. But Mark, yeah, that it's very rare to hear that transmitter. I think yours is the only one that I ever heard. The Harvey Wells. But yeah, everybody sounded pretty good here. And John, you were also pretty strong. Sometimes because of the short distance, relatively short distance, you're not that strong. But now it looks like one of the occasions that your signal is really blasting through. So everybody's doing well. I'll listen to I'll be standing by to the end of the net, but I'll say 73, and Steve, thanks for running the net. This same GRC 19 setup is waiting for 160 AM tonight, and I already programmed one of the 10 channels just to turn on and set on frequency and auto tune and everything. So with that, Doak, WN4P. Oh yeah, Brown, congratulations on the extra. Great job. WN4PFI. This is WF2U.
Hey Steve, there was some breaker station. Do you want to pick him up now or later?
No, we'll do that at the end. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mayor. WF2U, this is WN4PFI. Yeah, he came in on top of Mayor. I don't have much more here on this end. And I'm going to get out of here after this one. I'll listen to the end of this round. It's good to hear everybody on today. And wish I could hear some of the other ones. Steve, you and Glenn probably have the strongest signals, but Charlie's in there, Lee is too, Al, John, BBC John, and KR, W4KR are all very good signals here, very strong signals here today. Dave, yours came up on the last go-round. It was a little soft here and suches, but on the first go, but the last time you came up, very strong signal. And the other ones, sometimes I could pick up a little of the of what they were saying, but not so much. So I'll pass it on down to Glenn, N4AK. Like I said, I'll listen to the end of the rounds. Good to hear everybody on. And hopefully be on here again next week to hear you guys. So Glenn, N4AK. This is WN4 PF5, be clear. Good afternoon, guys.
Okay, dope. WN4 PF5, Citrus, Georgia, November 4 Alpha Kilo. And it can possibly get very cold in Citrus and snow often in northeast Georgia. So it's been very enjoyable this afternoon. Most of the signals were just coming in very well. And I did have a little problem copying George down there until the last go-around. Brown, congratulations on the extra class and welcome to our group. Looking forward to hear you checking in many times. So, Steve, I appreciate you checking and calling the net for us this afternoon, and I'll pass along my 7.3s on this round. And Chuck checked out, so Charlie, it's to you, W4MEC, N4AK.
Very good, Glenn, N4AK, and the old friends, W4MEC. Good round that time, fellas, and I got pretty much a copy on everybody. I have been, as usual, been helping my son with his home project. For some reason, he got on a tear to redo the floor in the den. So we've been pulling stuff out. It's got an issue with the floor. Whoever built the floor over the carport to make a den out of it. One of the things they left out was the bridging between the floor joists, so it's a little springy. The floor isn't working like a unit. So we're going to upgrade that and do some other changes to it. But he had to pick the 3 or 4 coldest day of the year to do all this. And very little heat in that den. It's all sealed off. So we will head back after the net, head back over there to pull up more boards and continue on. And but I did get in his remodel work, I've got this porch that I built on here this summer, and I wanted to put paneling on the underside on the rafters, and close it all in. And I have gotten enough of he took all the paneling out of the den, and the vast majority of it is okay. So I got enough paneling now to panel or put this very nice tongue and groove pine on my ceiling in my porch here and close it all off and stain it and make it look real nice. So that saved me a couple $1,000 bucks there. It only cost a little sweat. So anyway, so I'll listen here to the end, but onward to Lee, K4VWD in the group, W4MEC.
Okay, Charlie, thank you, W4MEC, K4VWD. Well, it's completely clouded over here now. And Brown, when you came back at the first of your last transmission, you were very strong here. I was surprised. So I'm going to say 7-3, God bless. Thank you for doing the net, Steve. Great job, man. And back over to you, Al. KJ4YEV. This is K4VWD. So long.
K4VWD in the net. This is KJ4YEV. Thank you, Lee. Seems like conditions are kind of weak. All the signals are a little bit weak across the board today for some reason. I thought there was something wrong with my antenna, but it tuned up nicely, so I guess it's just propagation. But I'm able to copy everybody, even Brown. He's in Rhode Island, so I'm able to copy everybody. It just seemed like signals are a little bit weaker than usual today, but that's the way it is. It's not always perfect, but I'm kind of used to wintertime conditions being a little better than this for some reason. But anyway, I'm copying everybody pretty good, so it's nice to hear everybody. Good net as always. And I'm going to pass it on to John, KZ4B. This is KJ4YEV. Over to you, John.
Okay, KJ4YEV in the group. This is KZ4B. Fine business, Alan. I'm had much better luck copying Brown W1NZR and George on that last go-round due to improved band conditions. I guess she's stretching out longer. And I wanted to thank everyone that's complimented the audio, especially Tony with his most profuse compliment. We appreciate that. The screen grid modulation, I got my inspiration from Steve, N4LQ, and I always thought that screen grid modulation was easier on a linear amplifier than plate modulation because of the swing in the carrier. And so I guess it's working. And Steve, if you would relay WN4PFI's handle, I missed that, and his QTH for that matter, and I'll note it down. And I wanted to say that I have really enjoyed the outboard SE3 synchronous detector that I use with my Palstar PR30 receiver. It's by Sherwood Engineering Incorporated. For some reason, I get a lot of QS Baker here, and it really minimizes the distortion with selective fading because it does the best job of inserting a carrier on AM of anything I've ever seen. It's even better, I think, than a Sony 2010, which is pretty darn good to start with. And a lot of the synchronous detectors that are out there don't work as well as what they claim. And one other good thing about the Sherwood is not everybody's on the same frequency necessarily. Myself being as guilty as anyone. And it will track the frequency and it will zero beat automatically without you doing anything, which is really a neat thing because a lot of them just don't do that. They'll zero in, but then if you change frequency like in a QSO, it doesn't reset. And so if you ever get a chance to pick up an SE3, it's only good with a 455K CIF. But Sherwood came up with modifications used with other intermediate frequencies. But I don't think he's actually promoting that product. I don't think you can buy them new anymore. You'd have to find one that's already out there. But it really does. It's a magic little box. And I think Steve may have one. And Steve, you might add your 2 cents if that's the case. So let's see. Gary, take it away. K3OS and the group KZ4 Bravo, over.
All right, John, KZ4 Bravo, K3OS. You got a little, your audio level dropped from the first transmission. Carrier is extremely strong here, but I'm getting a little scratchiness here. Maybe there's a slight intermittent in the audio lead, but other than that, really good. Okay, guys, well, the other news from Lake Wobegon here is today I finally got some power out of this ICO 720. So it looks like a couple of errant resistors, one almost non-existent, was a major cure for it. So I've got power coming out of that. Now it's I'll put that aside and start working on the modulator and see if I can't bring that up. We'll get some fun. I've also got, interestingly enough, I've got a 3715 crystal. but it is as far away from 30's frequency that I can figure. I don't know, at least it's 7 to 10 kilohertz high. So I think I'm going to open it up, and it's a Peterson, you know. Anyway, I'll have to open it up and see if I can put some graphite on there, see if I can slow it down a little bit, drop it down. Anyway, I'm going to listen out on this one and say 73. Steve, I think it was Stefan that called, but you can bring him in. N4LQ, K3OS.
All right, Gary. Anybody else want to check in?
Kilo 2, Yankee November.
K2YN, N4LQ. Okay, we just got a couple of minutes here, but go ahead and give us transmission before we close the net. Go ahead.
Okay, very good. Is your name Steve?
It sure is.
Okay, you're the master of ceremonies. Okay, I just got in here maybe 20 minutes ago and listened to all the transmissions. So, was hoping I might get a chance to jump in. I'm in Simpsonville, South Carolina, and a lot of you probably know where that is, actually. A lot of these folks, I think, are in the upstate and mid-state, as I call it, there near Columbia. But I'm only guessing. And hello, John, up there in Greer, VVC. I don't know if you're still listening, but I'm the one that bought that Alpha from you. Speaking of amplifiers, I have been working on a bias system here with a 10-tech Centurion amplifier, a pair of 3500s, and I'm running it right now. Seems to be everything's okay. So anyway, the bias supply had a few problems. Some of it was documentation too. That makes it hard, but it wasn't terrible. At least I had a manual, and misled me on a couple parts. So once I got everything straight and figured out the circuit, I realized what parts should be in there, and now everything's working fine. They had spec'd a Darlington transistor, and what it really needed was a transistor with about a beta of maybe 80 to 100. That's a standard NPN audio transistor that can handle an amp. Anything like that could go in there. So I'm going to change that over. But as it is with the Darlington, in this configuration, all it does is, because of its extreme gain, there is some recombination between the collector and the base, a leakage current, and that gets amplified. So my amp does not turn all the way off. It should go up high enough in bias to turn off. But because of that leakage current, due to that wrong part, it passes about 50 mils. Anyway, should be off. So all I have to do is change that transistor. I can't believe the misleading information took a 1-hour job and made it about 3.5 hours. But anyway, having fun with electronics here. Name's John, and we've been ham since '67. So I don't know the format. I think I just send it back to you, Steve, and thanks for letting me make a transmission. And for, I believe it's CQ. Hey, that's an LQ. This is K2YN.
All right, John, thank you. K2YN, N4LQ. Let's see. Quick GDN. George has a L4B Drake amplifier. Oh, he's looking for an L4B Drake amplifier and an MM2000 tuner, and he's selling a SB100 and I can't even read my own writing. Selling something. You might put that on the reflector, George. And let's see. We got a recommendation from W1NZR about study guide that he used for the extra class was called hamstudy.org. hamstudy.org. So anybody out there listening might want to check that out. It sounds like a pretty good way to do it. Quick memory test. And then John VBC is selling his AL-1200 and SB-220 6-meter conversion. The one I used to have one, but it broke and I traded it actually for an AL-82. Pretty much the same amount of power. Let's see, and KJ4YEV, Brown is in Battlesboro, North Carolina. He's not in New Hampshire. So I guess he won't get the vote tomorrow or Tuesday. KZ4B, the call sign for WN4PFI is, or the name for WN4PFI is DOAK, D-O-A-K, DOAK. And you do have something wrong with your audio. I'm sorry to have to rain on your parade. All these guys give you these great audio reports, and it has an underlying problem with a lot of thumping all the time you're talking, thumping, and it's kind of a tweeting sound and little chirpy noises, and the frequency is jumping back and forth also. Best thing to do is listen to yourself into a dummy load, or listen to the video. I've got this whole net recorded, and I'll send the link out, and you can just, I'll send the link out on the reflector if you are able to get email. And you can listen, you'll hear what I'm talking about, but it creates quite a racket. And I am using a computer speakers here that have a pretty good low end range, and they really emphasize that. So keep that in mind. But still, it's something you want to look at. And let's see, anything else? 160 tonight at 8 o'clock on 1864 KCs, 8 o'clock tonight. Anybody is willing to join, or welcome to join. And again, congrats to Mark on that carbon mic. Yeah, that Harvey Wells had an option on that transmitter, and you could order it with either the standard carbon mic, which had no preamp. It just had the modulator, or you could get the optional model with the preamp and pay the extra money and use a dynamic mic with it. Okay, that's about all I've got here today. It's been a good net. Thanks everybody for checking in. It's 10 minutes after 5. We got through the list twice. It was a big list. And we'll see you next time, either tonight at 8 o'clock or Tuesday at 9 o'clock in the morning on the same frequency. So with that, we'll say 73s. This is N4LQ, closing the Old Friends Net.
Mark, if you're still listening, I just wanted to say, when you really drove that mic, the audio was good on that Harvey Wells. Thanks for calling in, Steve, WA4LR73.
Steve, thanks for the feedback. Do you hear any chirp now? It may be feedback from the receiver. It doesn't mute completely. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it any better, or is it the same problem?
Yeah, it's the same problem. It sounds like this. I am pumping on the microphone as I talk, and it sounds like this. You got that?
Roger, I'll bet you money it's the switch in this D104 mic. I'll go back to the JT30 and see if that sounds any different.
That's a good idea. I'll be around for a few minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you.